again. What I want to talk about today is TV. What is uh, some of your favorite TV shows? I think I grew up in the greatest era of TV. We're talking 70s, 80s, and 90s. All right. So I'm just curious out there. What what TV shows do you guys watch? Um, you know, I think that me living uh, when I grew up was just the greatest perfect time. 70s, 80s, 90s. You can't tell me those TV shows were beat. All right. So we got Archie Bunker. You had Fred Sanford, um, Jack Tripper, Three's Company. We had that. This is 70s. So Happy Days. Come on, you're not getting better than Happy Days, are you? No. Um, I mean, the list just goes on and on. Love Boat, um, MASH, Laverne and Shirley. I mean, come on. The 70s was just the greatest era in TV. Now, you move on to the 80s, you got Saved by the Bell, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, I believe that came out in the 80s. Um, and you had so many. Oh, didn't Full House? Full House came out 80s, 90s. Yeah, I just think I grew up in the perfect time frame for TV. So, um, Saved by the Bell is probably my favorite because I was the same age as um, Zach Morris. Kind of emulated myself after Zach Morris. I mean, that was just me. That's who I was. How Zach was. When he went through the whole heartbreak with Kelly and all that. I was going through a heartbreak at that time. So yeah, I was curious. I just want to know what TV shows you guys like and what you watch today. I watch TV with my kids, and man, there's just so much political nonsense. Uh, you got uh, all kind of crazy things going on today's TV. It's like they're trying to make a political statement. So TV's big in my life. So I'd love to talk TV shows with you guys. What TV shows impacted you? And did you guys watch any TV shows from back in the day? Did anybody watch Happy Days? Did you watch Archie Bunker? Um, what are some of your favorite episodes? I just love to know. Hello, welcome. Welcome to Sayo. Are you Sayo? Hi, Sayo. Welcome to Daily Dose of Jeff. Uh, I'm Jeff. I go live stream every day, um, just talking about life, anything you want to talk about. And today's topic, we're talking TV shows. Hi, Samuel. How are you guys? Where's everybody from? I'd like to know where you're from. How old are you guys? I am in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Myself, 55 years old, and married with 3 children. Alabama. All right. Okay, fun facts about God. If you asked Jesus to save you when you were going to heaven, when you die. Oh, you don't have to worry, Kay. Lancaster, Pennsylvania is a huge Christian town. We're all Christians out here. That you don't have to preach to us. Samuel, you're 10. Wow, Samuel. 10 years old living in Alabama. What's life like out there in Alabama? I'm curious. Our pastor at our church is from Alabama, so he references Alabama all the time. And I hear that the college football out there is huge. Yeah, Kaya, I kind of got the idea that you were a Christian after your post, but out here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, you're gonna have tons of Jesus loves you everywhere signs. I mean, it's a huge Christian area, you know, definitely. Oh, thank you, Samuel. I like my videos. Great. So, uh, we're just out here talking about anything. Um, so tonight's topic, I'd love to know about your favorite TV shows, what they are. What do you watch? Even you, Samuel, I'd like to know what TV shows have your interest. Oh, you play football. Who's your favorite team? So, like, you're from Alabama, so is the Crimson Tide? Are they big out there? Uh-oh. Here's my daughter. She, she's gonna she's gonna video bomb my channel again. So that's my daughter Catherine. She's 14. Yeah, sure. Um, so let me talk about sports in my life. When I was your age, Samuel, I was definitely a football player, but not organized. Street football, and I was really, really good. Um, Street football was huge for me growing up. Hockey, I'd say football and hockey were the two biggest um, sports that I played. Now, when I turned 13, that's when golf came into my life. Um, I wanted to go pro when I got out of high school, and I went out to Las Vegas when I was 19 years old. You're the best on your team. Do you play for a school, Samuel? Is this a school team that you're talking about? So yeah, the sports I excelled at, football early, but never played organized. So I never did the whole, high school thing. I really wish I would have tried. I just got wrapped up in the golf, football, and chess. They're my three biggest hobbies, I guess. I was back at your age, Samuel. I was a pitcher and I was an all star. I was really, really good at baseball. That was for a local boys club. Football and baseball early, like Samuel's age early. After that, around 13, golf, chess, and basketball were my biggest uh, hobbies that I did. I still play tons of chess on my phone right now. If you guys go out there, I'm sure you'll see chess videos I posted. Um, and basketball was so much fun. I, grew up in Philadelphia, so many good basketball players, but again, I never played for an organized sport. A lot of it was my grades. My grades were so horrible. They were so terrible. Um, guys, I hated school and I hated homework. Never did it. I never did it. So my mom was a single mom raising two boys, and she just didn't have time to be a mom. She had to worry about putting food on the table. So she never pressured us to do homework. Your grandpa plays chess on the phone. Yeah, I love playing chess on my phone. Now, I only play speed chess. I play 3-minute games. I don't play long, boring chess games. I can't really do that. So I just like to play on my phone. Um, Chess was a big part of my life. It really was. I became, in high school. So what happened is that my friends and I started cutting school at ninth grade, and we cut for like 2 months straight before we got caught. So I got suspended. And when my mom took me to school to get me reinstated, we had to go before the dean of the school. Well, little did I know that the dean of the school was the chess coach and the golf coach. How about that one? He became like a father to me. The dean of the school became, like my dad. Uh, he was just so inspirational. He bailed me out. My buddy failed ninth grade. When we cut together for 2 months, got caught. He failed, I didn't because the dean of the school loved me. He took me around to all my classes and teachers and got me special assignments, got me somehow I passed. But, I'm not proud of that. And in fact, I had to turn down a golf scholarship. My coach did, the dean of the school, turned down a golf scholarship to Florida State. I couldn't even hold a 3.0, couldn't even hold a 1.0. I graduated high school with a .98. Had to go to summer school. Samuel, make sure you do your schoolwork. Make sure you don't cut school and skip out on homework. I missed out on all that education in my life, and I'm really upset over that. I missed out on a great opportunity to go to Florida State on the golf team. I went out to Las Vegas when I was 19. Wanted to be a golf professional, PGA Tour. I made the junior PGA Tour, but not the PGA Tour. Those guys are so good. You know what it is? It's not that they're so much better than us, regular people. It's that they're better under pressure. It is a whole different ball game when you got so many people watching and cameras. When you have that on you, man, it's a whole another mind game. When those guys you see on TV make it look easy, you don't realize how good they are because they handle the pressure. They don't let it get to them. They're used to it. And that makes a world of difference. So, yeah, I had to give up my golf career when I was 19. I went out to Las Vegas. Things didn't work out. I lived with my best friend out there 2 weeks, 2 weeks in Las Vegas. Brought my golf clubs out. Wanted to be a pro. And it didn't work out. It didn't work out. And it was very upsetting. So I came back, got a job at a local supermarket. And you want to see something? Can you see that scar, guys? See this right here? That was me. I worked at the deli slicing meat. I sliced my finger off, or part of it, right there. So that was 1989. I was 19 years old, working in a deli, and I sliced my finger. So 100 grams of Jeff shaved crease. What's that mean, Gabby? You're silly. Um, so after 19, uh, I met a girl. Back then, we met girls off the party line. There was a thing called the party line, and you dial in and you meet somebody off the phone. That's what we did back in the day. There was, this is right as America Online just started to come out. So anyway, I ended up being with this girl for 4.5 years. So from 19 to 24 ish, somewhere in there. I had to turn down a scholarship to Florida State University for golf, and yeah, that one hurt, guys. That was my dream, my lifelong dream to win the Masters. Anybody watch Rory win the Masters? Was it last week? Any golf fans out there? Watching Rory kind of hurt. Should have been me. Should have been me. You know, Samuel, you live once in this world. And if you have a dream, you start at your age. Your age is the time to start practicing whatever your passion is. Yeah, I mean, I got into golf late. 13 is when I started. And I got to the point where I could shoot like even par, maybe one under par. That's not good enough. Not to play against those guys. And they were so good. Now in chess, I was doing great until I played in the World Open several times. They played at the Adams Mark Hotel in Philadelphia. Actually, that's where I grew up in Philly. Anybody been to Philly out there? Anyone in Philadelphia? So the World Open, I was doing good until I get to the round where you have to play the Russians. Man, are they good! You know, chess to them is a lifestyle, kind of like going to class, taking classes here in America, and they're born into it, and they study and they play. Guys, if you have a passion out there, you got to work hard at it. Work nonstop at your passion, your dream. Find out what your dream is. Guys, golf was my dream. That didn't work out. Chess, I play for fun. So anyway, it wasn't until I found my calling, which was computers, late in life. I went to school, for food science, and that wasn't my passion. And I still to this day owe so many student loan debt because of switching my mind. I went and got an undergrad degree in food science, and then one day, as I was in my lab, some kid walks in and he says, "Can I get that? Can I get the IP address off your computer?" And I was like, "What? What's an IP address?" And it blew me away. And I was like, "That's what I want to do. That is me. That is me." Ever since I left the food science world, left my lab, and I went right to computer school, and I never looked back. That .98 GPA, I graduated magna cum laude with a master's degree in computers. That's right. Because it wasn't work to me. Even now, I'll take you know a laptop. I'll study on my vacation. Like it's not work. Like I love Cisco so much. Learning about Cisco and WebEx, it's just not work anymore. It's like I can't wait. I would love to take like a week and lay by the pool, get my laptop, and just listen to, YouTube videos of people teaching Cisco and WebEx and now Zoom. Zoom's a big one. I got a lot of certifications in Zoom. Yeah, Zoom's starting to take over WebEx. It's incredible. We have one customer, a huge, huge law firm. They absolutely love Zoom over Cisco. I was like, wow, wow, like half the price too. Samuel said hi. Hi, Samuel. So, Samuel, 10 years old, right now, if you can, try to find what really grabs your interest. Find your passion and work at it. Learn to work hard for something. You know what that golf coach, the chess coach, the dean of the school, what he wrote in my yearbook? And I'm going to pass it along to you, and I pass it along to my kids. He wrote, Jeff, in life, rewards don't go to the swift and talented. Put in your time and pay your dues. I never forgot those words that he wrote in my book. Rewards don't always go to the swift and talented. See, he knew that was me. Remember, I said I'm like Zach Morris. What did Zach Morris do? He always did schemes and stunts and, to get out of trouble. And that was me. That was me. I was always finding a way to avoid hard work. And you know, he was like a dad to me. He really was. Yeah. I was really good at golf. I went all public, ninth grade and 11th grade. 10th grade, I took off and lived with my dad for a year up in Lansdale, Pennsylvania. Is anybody watching the Spurs right now playoff game? Boy, it's only 10 points. It's a close one. So Samuel, you like football. That's great. That's great. You know, I kind of agree with the I forget who said it. Was it John Gruden? Football is the ultimate team sport. I gotta say yes to that. And I never played organized football, but watching sports, big sports guy, I would agree with that. That football is the ultimate team sport. I mean, yeah, you got you know 11 guys on each side, and everybody has to do their job, and everybody's got to be on the same page. And yeah, it is the ultimate team sport. I mean, basketball's a big one, but not nearly as big as football. Baseball, I like baseball. Big Phillies fan. Love fantasy baseball. Anybody play fantasy sports out there? Any fantasy sports? Yeah, I've been doing a fantasy baseball league now for we're in our 24th season. So long time fantasy baseball player. Um, love the Eagles. Absolutely love the Eagles. Love Jalen Hurts. There's so many people that do not like Jalen Hurts. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, really incredible. Sports is a big part of my life growing up. My brother was really good at hockey. When I grew up in Northeast Philly, there was the kids up the street. Man, the games got so rough and physical. Like it's not like it is today. Like when we played the kids up the street, it got brutal. Got really brutal. But I'll never forget when we played them. Not in hockey, but in football. One time we're playing, and their biggest kid. Now I must have been about 8 or 9 years old. Samuel, maybe your age. And their biggest kid, he was like 18. I'll never forget. He's running down the side, and it was up to me. We were about to beat them, and it was up to me to stop this 18-year-old kid. And I'll never forget how I did it. I just put my hands over my head. I got down to the ground and just got in his way. He ended up falling, tripping, trying to avoid me, and he fell, and we stopped him, and that was the game-winning play. I was the hero out of all the friends for a while from that. Here's a little 10-year-old kid that stopped a teenager, 18-year-old, big guy, strong. Something I remember. Yeah, that movie, The Sandlot, really reminds me of life growing up. It was rough, and it was rough. I grew up in a very, very rough neighborhood. A lot of fighting, a lot of fighting. Um, gosh, I can't tell you. So much bullying went on, guys. I mean, you have it today. I know there's bullying that goes on, but there's so much awareness of it. You have cameras everywhere. You have cell phones. Bullies are getting caught left and right, and they're not getting away with it because when it goes viral, can you imagine the stories? You know, Anybody see that story where the blind kid got punched? This one bully kid, punching on a blind kid. And the hero actually went on Dr. Phil. So after this guy is punching on a blind guy, the big guy comes across the street, just whams the bully, and he became an instant hero. You know, that was one of my favorite stories of this kid getting knocked out, and it goes on Dr. Phil. They actually brought him and the blind kid on Dr. Phil. It's pretty wild. Speaking of Dr. Phil, has anybody out there watched the episode with Bad Baby on Dr. Phil? That was one of the most mind blowing episodes that I ever dealt with, that I ever saw. Does anyone watch Bad Baby? I mean, come on, she's got this catchphrase. There it is. Dennis knows it. Cash me outside. How about that? Danielle. Oh man. I just learned about her less than a year ago. You know, I just could not believe. Well, first of all, when I watched it, she was what, 13? Now she's in her 20s. And if you guys don't know, you have to go see the episode with Danielle. Her mother brings her onto the show because she is just out of control. Bad Baby is exactly that. She was just a bad baby. She would hit her mother. She was so provocative and flaunting her body all over the place. She was a thief. She'd steal any car. She stole Dr. Phil's staff. The one lady that was down there stole her car. If you left your keys, she was taking them. She was a thug. She still is. But here's the funniest thing of the whole thing with her is that she became a superstar. Not so much because of Dr. Phil. She became a rapper. So Dr. Phil, Danielle agreed to go to, I guess, a boot camp where, they're supposed to correct bad teens. So she goes to this camp. She comes back, tried to act all nice, but really, she didn't change any. The camp didn't change her. And she becomes a famous rapper. Her mouth is so filthy. I mean, you can't get worse. If you listen to one of her songs, the lyrics are horrendous. Oh my gosh. But became a superstar. She's very famous. What a story that was. And she did have a child, and they interviewed her and said, "Are you going to raise your child just like yourself?" She said, "Absolutely not." She said, "This world does not need two of me." And that really told me a lot about her, that she was not going to raise her daughter as herself. But man, you talk about wild. Bad Baby puts the W in wild, crazy, and her songs are all about her crazy lifestyle. Crazy. Is anybody out there ever on TV? I'm curious. I was on TV very briefly. The only real time I was on TV was 1993 when the Phillies were in the World Series, and I stood all day to be in the front of this pep rally. So, yeah, I was on Action News. It was really the only time I was on TV. Wow, the Spurs are only up two. Is anybody watching this basketball game? It's like a major upset is taking place right now. Oh, Dennis, you had a friend on Fear Factor. Oh, that's wonderful. Great. Oh, that had to be cool. Did he get a follow up? deal, or anything happen after that? Dennis, so we're talking about TV tonight, TV shows. Um, as you probably know, Saved by the Bell, one of my favorite shows. My wife watches TV every night, and I lay in bed and watch them. The shows today are just so political. They really are just. Did you see the Saved by the Bell remake? Oh, was that horrible? So awful. And they had Jesse and Slater in there, and that just did nothing. Did anybody see the Jimmy Fallon remake? Now that was awesome. Jimmy Fallon did a little skit with the Saved by the Bell crew. No, after the show, he went on to have a normal life. Oh, okay. Wow, he made Fear Factor. How about that? Do you know anybody that is going to go pro baseball, football? Any pro players? Trying to think of my life. Everything is woke garbage. Yeah, I mean, you turn on TV and that's all it is today. It's all political. It's a shame, how things got so crazy and out of hand. Yeah, the kids shows. The kids, man, I feel bad for the kids today. Even the music. I listen to my kids play music, and it just makes me so thankful that I grew up in the time frame that I did, 70s, 80s, 90s, because those were the greatest songs. These songs today, oh, just awful. You know, what is my daughter's listening to this song, and this, I don't know if it's a girl. I think it was a girl. I smoke cigarettes in bed. Oh my gosh, I think that was it. And I took my daughter and her friends down the shore, and I had to listen to this horrible song, this music. I like smoking cigarettes. I smoke cigarettes in bed. Uh-oh, they blocked one of your messages, Dennis. Cardi B, is that who sings it? Cardi B. I don't know, but they're talking about smoking cigarettes. And that's all this person kept saying over and over. It's like, oh, man, nah, my kids know good music. The good music comes from the 80s, 90s. Man, we had some great TV shows. Did, did you guys watch any TV from back in the day? Um, Happy Days, come on. I mean, Happy Days, you could pretty much put on any Happy Days episode and just love it. The Fonz, come on. Do you get any cooler than the Fonz? That's incredible. You know, there's a big, gigantic X Files. X Files are good. Yeah, I watch them. There's a big restaurant out here called Shady Maple. It's one of the biggest smorgasbords in the world. And Henry Winkler actually came here and ate there. I think he sat at, they said like table 38 or something like that. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Speaking of TV, do you know who just died from a 70s show? Um, oh, what's his real name? Anyway, he played Larry Dallas. Richard Klein. Richard Klein died. You guys probably don't know him. He's Larry Dallas from Three's Company. Anybody watch Three's Company out there? One of the greatest sitcoms out there. Oh, Good Times. Oh man, Jimmy Walker. Yeah, Good Times was wow. You know who really impressed me the most on that show was the dad. I always thought, is that what a dad's supposed to be like? Because I remember my stepdad, and when he took off his belt, you were getting it, just like Jimmy Walker in Good Times. When that father took off the belt, man, oh man, just sent chills down my spine because my stepdad, and he pulled that belt off. And a lot of the times we deserved it, you know. Back then in those days, you can hit children, and it was called good discipline. Today, you touch a child, and yeah, you're going to have the CPA knocking on your door. But yeah, I mean, life with my stepdad, yeah, I want to talk about that. Um, so when I was 5 years old, my mom and dad got a divorce, and my dad moved off to Florida, and he got married, remarried. Uh, we call her Mommy Gail. Kids don't fear their parents. That's why they're out of control. Um, I guess you could say that. Do I agree with that? Kids don't fear their parents and they're out of control. Yeah, I mean that is a true statement. Now, how about how about instead of fear, what about kids don't respect their parents? Fear, I never hit my children, and I never had to because if you earn your children's respect, that's more powerful than scaring them into obedience. I mean, the goal is what? Have your kids be obedient. And the one thing I did with my children, I never hit them. I didn't believe in physical pain to be, the answer to fear. Well, yeah, you're going to scare your kids to death. I know kids that are so scared of their parents, and it's such a shame, terrified of their parents. And I understand from the parents' point of view why they do that. I didn't do that. What I did is I built such a healthy bond with my kids. I spent so many hours every night. I laid in bed with my children from the time they were born up until, gosh, 7 years old. I laid with my kids every night. We did Bible stories and talked a lot of YouTube. Do you know, guys, we had a successful YouTube channel. And do you know I was making $5,000 a month on their channel before COPPA stepped in and the whole YouTube thing got sued over children? Yeah, I mean, we had a very, very successful channel, and YouTube got sued because they didn't have any disclaimers about children. It's all about having a good relationship with your kids, not fear. For me, what I did with my children is, yeah, I mean, a good relationship, sure. I built this bond with them. I built a respect. When you spend so much time with your children, I mean, the biggest thing is attention. I believe it was you that mentioned attention. Uh, Attention to a child is everything. You know, I made sure one thing I trained myself to do is that when I heard the phrase "daddy look," I made sure I looked. And I worked at home on computers, and sometimes it was extremely frustrating having three little ones and trying to fix complex problems. But if I heard that phrase, "daddy look," I made sure I looked. How you doing, Sophia? So if you guys out there, if you have children, or you remember this for the future, if you do have children, that those first 5 years are so critical. If you guys go back and watch a lot of my videos, I did a lot of videos on parenting. Um, Number one, and this is how God designed children, they are like a sponge. And the biggest thing about those first 5 years is that they will listen to you. They'll listen to you. After they start hitting about 10 or 11, 12, whatever you've taught them to that point, that's it. Like it's going to be much, much, much harder to instill some type of value into them. So you take advantage of those first 5 and 6 years They will listen. Like YouTube, for example. So when my kids were that young, I told you we had a very successful YouTube channel. Now they hate the camera. Now they do this. They block their face. You know, it's too late. You know, but when they're younger, they will listen, and you can teach them any value you want to teach them. Absolutely. So what I did here's a little thing I'll tell you I did with my kids. Each one of them, I put a special blessing on each one of my children. So when my son was born, every night, I told you I laid with all my children for hours at night until they fell asleep. And I would over and over, and what got me to do this was in the Bible, the book or the story about Isaac giving a verbal blessing. So I said, well, if that is true, if we can say something and those words take effect, I said, I'm going to do it with my children. So I gave each one of my children a special gift. And what I did is I looked at it as planting a seed, and then I watered it over and over with my words every night for the first 2 years of each one of their lives. Every night I said it over and over. I just pretended I was watering a seed. My son, I gave the gift of intelligence over and over. I kept saying, Jaden will be incredibly smart. You know, I'm looking at his little face and I'm saying, Jaden is going to be unbelievably intelligent. My daughter Ella, I gave the gift of beauty. And my daughter Catherine, I gave the gift of independence. And don't you know, all three came true. It's unbelievable. My daughter Ella's coming. I can hear the garage opening right behind me. She's coming home. My son, my son's intelligence scares me. In fact, when we would do these little Bible stories growing up with the kids, Ella would get so frustrated because at the end they'd have questions about the little story we read. She said, Daddy, Jaden's the boy that knows everything because he could answer them all. At the age of 4, he knew every state capital, city and state, you know, he knew all the capitals. Uh, it's just now he's a programmer, he's a developer. Just mind blowing how smart he is. Here she comes, Mrs. Wonderful. Now, I told you guys I have a special relationship with my kids.
Yeah, you do call it special.
Ella,
I call it
Ella is
beautiful.
yes, you're beautiful, and she is just she makes my heart rejoice just even thinking about her. You know, I love when we go to church together and I'll rub her back. She'll put her head on my shoulder.
We're just so loving.
Yes, but that doesn't come, you know, for nothing. Not every parent has that kind of relationship with their children.
You know why?
Yeah, I know why.
It's because I
Because I spent so many hours and hours and zillions of hours with my kids when they were little. And, you know, one of the reasons that I'm not a CCIE at Cisco, which is the highest level of achievement, you don't know about special. Dennis heard you.
LOL. Don't show me.
You know, I gave up. I gave up work for my family. Okay, I could have been a CCIE. All these guys at work that are making loads more money than I am and who have dedicated their life to it. I wasn't going to do that. I wasn't going to do that. I wanted to. I didn't want to miss out on my kids' childhood, and that was a big reason we started our channel. That was very successful because I was filming them, so I have all those memories, you know, and boy, they were fantastic times. Ella, did we have a lot of fun growing up?
So much fun. Way too much fun.
Too much fun.
We have so many inside jokes.
Oh, we did. how many great videos we made, and oh
So
man,
many.
one of the funniest things that the kids loved is that I used to have this little Barney doll. Do you remember Barney?
Yes.
So this purple dinosaur, I would make the purple dinosaur come to life, and I'd make them attack the kids. And when the kids got Barney upset, I'd start shaking it. And I did this with my nephew has a child, and we went up to visit him. So I took one of his little dolls, and I did the Barney thing with him, and it was just hilarious. Dennis says that's one of the reasons why I'm not ready to have kids because I'm always busy with work. Well, yes, Dennis. So my dad's philosophy. Oh, you're a chef. Oh, wonderful, Dennis. Now, my dad's philosophy is opposite of mine. So he was a barber and he had barber shops. Well, did he have two shops? He had a barber shop and might have had two. But he always put work before family. That was his golden rule. And you know, I never saw my dad. He got home super late at night. Maybe saw him an hour, and then he went off to Florida when I was 5, and he came back, I think, when I was 13. So I said, "I'm not gonna do that. I am gonna spend so much time with my 3 kids." I got so many pictures of all 3 kids on my lap. I remember working with working on problems with the kids on my lap. I didn't miss one daddy look when I heard that phrase. So, Dennis, in your situation, you're a chef, and you're, what, 28 years old. Well, look, I didn't meet my wife till I was 30, got married when I was 32, had my first child at 36. Do I wish I would have started a little earlier? Yes, I do. You know, my kids are going to be turning 21 and I'm going to be in my 60s, and I don't want to miss out on my grandkids. I don't want to miss out on them getting married, so it's all up, it's your choice to make, obviously, when you're going to settle down. Um, yeah, it's a big decision, Dennis. It's a big decision. You're wrapped up into your work. But for me, I knew I could have become a CCIE, which is kind of like a doctor in the Cisco world, but I'd have to give up everything. A guy at work, he had a daughter, and he was one of those guys, and he said, Jeff, he watched me, in the videos with me and my kids. He says, I don't have a relationship with my daughter. I missed out on her life, and I didn't want that to be me. So, Dennis, you're going to have to make a decision in your life. You're a chef, you know, when you have that little child and you look at that child, everything changes. Man, everything changes. When my son was born, it blew my mind. Like, this is a little me. And all of a sudden, from that moment that he was born, you no longer live for yourself. You live for him. He can't feed himself. You are now raw. I got 4 other mouths I have to worry about feeding. I can't just go when you have a child, you can't just go off and do your own thing. No. No, your life's gonna revolve around that child. That's the way God designed the world. You can't get around that unless you wanna be a deadbeat, you know. When my son was born, from that moment forward, if he doesn't sleep, you don't sleep, okay? Simple as that. Like, your life revolves around that child. But man, Guys, you go watch some of my videos on the parenting videos. Those first 6 years are so critical. They're so critical. But I knew that I'd have a special relationship with my kids after investing all that time into it. When you give your so much time, like, you talk about parents use fear. I didn't need to use fear. Being a new parent can be scary. Yeah. Wow. I'll never forget when my son was born. I went home that night. My wife was still in the hospital with him, and all I remember is listening to Will Smith's song, just the two of us. When I see the eyes of my baby boy, like, I listened to that over and over. I cried like a baby. When that first time my son and I made eye contact, I can't tell you, like a spark, a jolt went through my body. I still remember that feeling. It really, what an experience, Dennis. When he was 4 years old, I was big into golf. I took him to the golf course on Father's Day, just me and him, 4 years old. And I'll never forget, I'm lining up to hit a shot, and all I hear is this little voice. You know what he said? He said, "Do it, Dad, do it." I can't tell you how it impacts you. Little stuff like that, you know, to hear that little voice. Yeah, being a parent, Dennis, your whole life is going to change. Like I said, you're going to learn to live for someone else. It's a challenge. It's extremely challenging at 2 a.m., at 3 a.m. when they wake up and they're screaming and crying, when they got to go to the hospital at 4 a.m., when they need diapers changed, you know, it's all going to rely on you. When they get sick, yeah, parent is scary. I guess it's a scary thought. But don't let that stop you, Dennis. Don't, you're a chef in your 20s. Now, like I said, I didn't have my son till I was 36. So that's pretty late. That's pretty late in life. If I had to go back, would I change that? If I could pick the perfect age? I mean, don't get me wrong. I loved having all that extra time up to 36 to do my own thing. But I got a late start in life. I graduated food science when I was 28, and then I switched careers to computers. So I didn't get that going until 29, 30. I've really started life late. So got married when I was 32, first child, 36. You're at 28. You know what advice I can give you is definitely save. Yes, oh, thank you, Dennis. That's a very good. I was hoping, it was the whole reason I was doing these videos is to bless people, to share my life experiences, and I can help anybody. Uh, a lot of people don't have someone to talk to, so if I can, I'm glad I'm a blessing to you. That's one of the reasons I'm doing this, to give back to the world. God's given me so many blessings. I figured if I can help anyone out there, anything I can do at all. I didn't have somebody like this to talk to. No, I didn't have the kind of father, like I'm talking to you. I didn't have it. I had to figure it all out on my own. The whole computer thing, I didn't have any teacher. Everything I did in my life, I had to do on my own. I had to figure out on my own. Your parents are peer pressuring me into having kids isn't helpful. Yeah, well, my wife told you that. Like man, we pressured. Oh, yeah. to have a baby, have a baby. It was funny when we finally, my wife finally did get pregnant. So I was 35 years old, and my mom, I actually went down there. It was a Mother's Day, and I had that little picture of the, what do they call that? Sonogram? No, is it where they show the little baby inside the stomach? Is it ultrasound? Is that what that's called? Anyway, so wanted to surprise my mom with that for her Mother's Day gift. And before she opened her gift, she said to me, Jeff, when are you and Cheryl going to think about having kids? I'd like a grandbaby. And little did I know, did she know in about 10 minutes she was going to find out. I said, no, Mom. I said, we're not interested in that right now. And she looked so disappointed. Ultrasound? Yeah. Yeah. So I had the ultrasound inside my mom's Mother's Day gift. That was the real gift, was the ultrasound. And then she's like, when are you guys going to have kids? I said, Mom, no. I said, listen, we're enjoying our life, Just the look on my mom's face was so disappointed, you know. Before that, she never put pressure on me about having kids, but 35 years old, and when she opened that, I'll never forget her reaction. She went, Jeff. Yeah, yeah. So I had one son and two daughters. Man, you talk about experience, learning, life, the challenges. Oh man, you change as a man. You are going to change. You are going to learn what life is about when there's another little human that is a little you. And then you have the wife. You can't ignore her. So, you got double duty here. You still got to be a husband and a father. The one thing that really hurt me is I really didn't have a father as a role model. Like I said, my dad took off, went to Florida, so I had a horrible, evil stepfather. Didn't love us. Certainly didn't love us. He was just crazy. So I really didn't have anybody to role model, to look after, and that kind of hurt. Is there pressure? Oh, of course there's pressure. You know, you, you got these mouths depending on you for food and rent and mortgage, and your job now becomes much, much more important because it's not just you're living for. It's a tremendous amount of pressure. Absolutely. So Dennis, one thing I never did is I never saved up money. So, you know, think about that you're going to need those extra funds. If you can put a little bit aside and not touch it, I would say I wish I would have done that. Um, yeah, I mean, I was very foolish financially. I don't know if you saw the other videos. I kept borrowing, borrowing, borrowing from college, you know, borrowing secured debt to pay unsecured debt. So stupid. I really didn't work a job. All I did was, my brother and I went down to the casino every other night, gambling. So stupid. Hey, Vay, how are you? Guys, there was a time where I hit rock bottom. So when I was going to college, me and my dad weren't really close growing up. He never told me he was proud of me. He was like a man's man. Well, that's not me. Uh, my son will tell you. I constantly tell him how proud I am of him. I make that clear to all of my children. They have my belief in them. They have my support. Like I said, I never needed to instill fear. Respect is way more powerful than fear. Way more powerful. Uh, when you earn your children's respect, you don't need to scare them into it. Thank you, everyone, for those hearts. But it's true, but it takes work. Like I said, I'm not a CCIE at work. I gotta, the other guys are, and there's some that are. Uh, you got decisions to make. Do you want to miss out on your kids' lives for work? There's a guy who lives down the street, and so now he's what, I think he's like 75 years old now, and he would watch me with the kids in the backyard, and he says, Jeff, watching you with the children, watching you play with them, he's like, I realized that I worked double shifts in my 35-year career. He's a maintenance guy, and he worked two shifts, and he said, I wanted to have all this extra money. He built up this gigantic 401k. He's got over $1 million. And he says, I know I have all this money now, but he's like, look, my kids are gone, and I missed out on their lives. He said that he would play softball before work and then do a 16-hour shift. So he never saw his kids. Baby oil. Is that supposed to mean something, Killionaire? It's baby oil. But yeah, so Dennis, take these stories to heart, because there are people that, that missed out on their children's lives. My father didn't even know we had braces. And he was trying to talk me out of getting my kids braces. Are you guys interested in buying baby oil? He's trolling me. Is that something to do with Puff P Diddy, the whole baby oil thing? But yeah, I mean, look, my dad, he was trying to talk me out of spending 7 grand on each child, which I ended up doing, getting them braces. He's like, "Did you have braces?" No. "Did your brother have braces?" No. I said, "Dad, we both had braces. You were in Florida." He felt stupid, you know, missed out on our lives. My brother has a picture. My dad, when he went to Florida, we did go down there twice and visited. And I was actually wearing my baseball uniform because I was a really, really good pitcher. And I had a game as soon as I got off the airplane. And my brother always teased me. He's like, "Look how sad you look in this picture." Because we were in the airport coming home. Just had the saddest look on my face. You know, when I brought my baseball glove down there, played catch with my dad, it was so awesome. Dennis says, my dad almost made me feel stupid growing up. It affected me a lot. Poor parenting. Yeah. Parenting is, guys, I mean, this is a human life that you're in charge of, and you have the ability to instill any value you want into that child. You have a choice to be a good parent or a bad parent. My question to you, Dennis, is what was his dad like? Because more than likely, he is only doing what he learned as a child. What was his father like? Mr. Rogers was more of a father figure than my dad. Yeah, I feel you, Dennis. Yeah, it was tough. My brother and I not having my dad there. Yeah, we had an evil stepfather. And now that we tell my dad all the horrible stories, my dad says, "Yeah," he says, "I regret leaving." You know. And Dennis, I know where you're coming from. I mean, a father doesn't realize, and I'm glad we're having this talk, Dennis, because if you ever have a child, do what I did. I did the opposite of what I grew up, the way I was raised, did the opposite. I spent so much time and I do not put work before my kids and my family. Then it says my grandfather was just like my dad. Well, there you go. And I didn't even know you guys, and I could tell you. Yeah. I mean, yes, your dad is responsible for what he did, but look at the bigger picture. Go back another generation. Like I said, those first 5, 6 years, the values are instilled into that child, and they're going to grow up to be just like their father or whatever they were taught. And that's why I made a critical decision. Now, in my family, there was no God, there was no Christianity, there was no Jesus. So Jesus came into our lives when my mother, became the first Christian after she went through torture with my stepfather. Torture. So I mean, Jesus didn't come into my life till like I was like 20. So I didn't grow up with Sunday school and going to church and all that. But when I had a child, I now had God's wisdom with me where my dad didn't, but I did. So that's why my situation turned out a lot different. All right. Because, that book is so powerful. It's like a life guide. And I put all those values into my kids. I told you we did all these Bible stories and I put the word of God into them. And they're all three of them are big time Christians today. I never had that growing up. Never went to church. Break the cycle. Yes. Dennis is not a religious person, but I have an open mind. Do you think it will benefit me? Oh, I could, go listen to Charlie Kirk. If you don't believe me, boy, Charlie Kirk was great, great at it. It changed, three people changed my life. So when I was your age, I was 30. 30 is when I had a really big life change. Um, Joel Osteen and my former boss and my former pastor from my wife's area. So those three, Pastor Rob and my boss Michael, my former boss, and Joel Osteen changed my life. And that had to be God that put those people in my life because I did a 180 after growing up a misfit. And all my 20s, I was a drinker, gambler, clubbing, all that. Yeah, Charlie. Yeah. Wow. Was he he's a much better preacher than I am. I'm not really a preacher, but he describes the Bible. It's our book of life. It's our guide. I mean, my belief, that the Bible is the holy word, and that's like the creator of the universe just gave you a book, gave you a life manual. So you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong reading it because he created everything. He created us. Well, he created children for those first 6 years to be a sponge. It was his creation. He could have made them any way he wanted to. I don't care what religion you believe. We're talking about life. That any child is going to be a sponge. But this is God designed it that way. So he gave you a manual. Now, whether you want to read it and believe it, that's up to you. I certainly did, and man, will it benefit you? It sure has me. It changed everything. Changed everything in my life. I started out, like I told you, gambler, drinker, I almost killed myself once driving home from the casino when I was out of money. My mom gave me a credit card, $32,000 limit on it. And she said, you pay the bill and you can use it for college. And all I did was gamble it away. And I almost drove over a bridge. That's really when I put God in my life was that night driving home when I decided, should I just drive right off the bridge? I have nothing. $32,000 in debt now. I have no money. I can't even go to college the next morning. I didn't have any gas. But, you know, that's when God really hit me hard. And what I did is that Sunday, I didn't drive, obviously, I didn't drive over the bridge, but it was a thought. And that Sunday, I went to church and I just put my last $20 in the plate. Jesus died so you can live, and he died that you might have eternal life. If he did sin, yes, absolutely, Day. You don't have to preach to me, Day. But yeah, so I took my last $20. I went to church by myself. So how old was I? 28. I was 28. It was my last semester at college. I had one more semester to go. Went to church and put my last 20 bucks into the plate. And I said, God, I'm handing my life over to you. I have nothing. I'm officially out, rock bottom. And I did. I handed my life over and started going and listening to the sermons. And man, incredible how, my son's middle name is Joel, after Joel Osteen. So with Joel Osteen, driving to work after I got married, I would drive to, I got a computer job and I listened to his, they were 5 or 6 CDs. Your Best Life Now. Lucas? Hello, Lucas. I don't know why you want me to say your name, Lucas, but I did. But anyway, Your Best Life Now. So I put those CDs on in my car every day going to work. Um, yeah, and that Pastor Rob and my boss, like the three of them, just changed me. Day, well, you're going tonight, Day. Well, thank you for joining me here. Yeah, I'm gonna stop the feed soon. It's getting late. Waiting for my wife, getting ready for bed. You know what? I'll stay on to the end of the Spurs game here. There is 3 minutes left. It's a good game. Spurs are up 13. Man, that Wemby guy, he is amazing. So yeah, I mean that was some crazy times in my life. I wouldn't call myself a religious person, but definitely a godly person. You know what he's done for me, and I can't say. Sure, Dennis, no problem. Anytime. You know, stay tuned to the channel. Any way I can give back to the world and help anybody through my experiences. That's with Daily Dose of Jeff. It's what I do here. So um, yeah, I'll hang out to the end of the Spurs game, guys, for you. Any sports fans out there? Anybody? Sports is a big part of my life. Hobbies. Any chess players? Chess. I still play so much chess. Um, I mean, my rating's only like 1600. Not a grandmaster or anything like that, but pretty good. Yeah, in high school. Oh, you're a Chargers fan. Who's the Arsenal? Is that soccer? I don't know who the Arsenal is. Chargers. There's an old Charger who's a preacher out there. I listen to sometimes. Miles McPherson. He used to play in the 1980s. He was in the Chargers. He's big time preacher guy. I see on Facebook sometimes. Man, Portland's not giving up. Still 13 points with it's like 3:25 left. Sixers got killed tonight. Ugh. Boston just ugh. Celtics kill us in the playoffs all the time. English Premier League, is that soccer? Is that what English Premier League is? Soccer? I never got into soccer, but I do like watching it. I must admit, just the goals are so rare that when they happen, I love when they go nuts. Okay, yeah. No, I never really took soccer seriously, but I do like watching those games when they get intense and all the crowd. My goodness, I would not want to be a referee, I can tell you that. Those people take soccer so seriously. It is an awesome sport to watch, though. When it's intense. What is it? The Olympics that's really big. I think that's when I watched it. Was the Olympics. Summer Olympics, I guess it would be. Yeah, that's awesome. I was in San Diego, so I went to Cisco holds a conference called Cisco Live every year. So my company used to send me out, when I was younger to Cisco Live. The FIFA World Cup's big. Oh, okay, that's the big one. Yeah, I just never got into soccer. But when I do watch a game, like it's really fun to watch. It really is. It's like I said because the goals are so rare. Man, those guys do a lot of running. I don't know how they run so much. They run like reindeer, man. Really is fascinating. No, my favorite sports, football, baseball. It would be basketball, then hockey. Really don't watch too much hockey, even though I did watch a Flyers game the other night. It was awesome. They pulled a pretty big upset on the Penguins. Golf. I like watching golf. I won't watch that LIV tour. Won't watch it. Will not support that at all. Nope. So it's 105-92. There's 3:25 left in this game. Pretty sure your daughter that plays soccer knows all about the English Premier League. No, I don't think my kids play soccer. None of my kids play soccer. Catherine plays volleyball. Um, no, none of them play soccer. No, basketball. She plays basketball. Catherine does volleyball, basketball. Ella doesn't do any sports. And my son played basketball, but he just lives up in his bedroom. He's a computer guy. He does not come out of his bedroom. Very rare. Speaking of oh, Tiger, come on, man. Tiger's my man. You know, my partner and I, when I got that first computer job up my wife's area in Central PA, me and him used to wear red shirts together. We were a team. It was a two-man team. People would laugh at us. We were so obsessed with Tiger Woods. Oh, man. Do you know Tiger wears red every Sunday? Do you know why he wears red every Sunday? Did you know he wears red every Sunday? Portland just missed a three. It is, I'll give you a chance to answer. Do you know why Tiger Woods? Only on the Sunday round he wears red. Any guesses? I'll tell you my one Tiger story is what was it? So 2014 is when I stopped playing to become a dad. I put my clubs away 2014 after my partner and I won a club championship. So he wears red because it's the color of passion. That's why Tiger wears red. So my partner and I always wore a red shirt, and yeah, it's just funny. But so in 2014, I put my golf clubs away. They're still up in my shed. I just saw them. Was it earlier today? And I realized that I'm hitting 300 shots a day in my backyard, and I said, Jeff, what are you doing? You're ignoring these kids to hit this little ball. Joshua, what is wrong with your name? You want me to say your name? But so I told you we won the club championship. Now, before the club championship, my partner had a computer job to do. He could not attend. So I had to play two guys, 2-on-1. It was a better ball. So whoever had the best score, they got to choose their best score against mine. And I played the round of my life. It was only 9 holes. And I played these two guys. But the reason, I'll talk about Tiger is because if you ever saw his commercial, where Tiger's staring into the camera and they play his father's voice. And I listened to it over and over and over that whole night. I couldn't sleep the night before my match. And on the way to the match, I just kept playing this commercial over. And he says, Tiger, I'm more prone to be inquisitive. So this was right after the whole Tiger fiasco with him cheating on his wife and all that. and they're just showing Tiger's face right in the camera. It's a Nike commercial, so you can go out and watch it. And his dad's voice with just Tiger staring right into the camera says, Tiger, I'm more prone to be inquisitive, to ask questions. Did you learn anything? What were your feelings? And that was it. That's the whole Nike commercial right there. And I just listened to that, and it just took me to another level, and I played out of my mind. I, I shot one over par on a very hard course, and I beat the two guys. My partner couldn't believe it. You know, he was better than I was, and he couldn't believe it. At the time, I think I had like a 7 handicap and shooting 1 over par. It was, a handicap league, so I got all those additional strokes. I'm not supposed to be shooting 1 over par with a 7 handicap. So that was one of the most spectacular things I ever did in my life was beat those two guys, and we went on to win the championship. But that's when I put my golf clubs away. So 2014, so my son was 7 or 8, and daughter Ella, so she was 6, and Catherine was 3. So oh, thank you, Dennis. That was a while ago. It was 12 years ago, but put the clubs away, and I haven't pulled them out since. Yeah, it was. It really was. It was amazing. I remember the last hole. There was a big pond in front of us, and the one guy comes up to me, says, "Whatever you do, don't hit it in the water." Like, they were just doing everything they could to distract me. So it was a par four, and I hit the first shot in a bunker. So we're about 215 yards away. And I don't know what it was, something I just felt take over my hands. And I hit a 3 iron out of the sand. And man, it hopped up onto the green 20 feet away from the hole. One of the greatest shots of my life. I'll just never forget that 3 iron out of the sand. Those guys couldn't believe it. It was a bad drive. I sliced it off to the right in the bunker. And then I missed the birdie putt by 3 inches. And those guys were mad. They were calling me all kind of names like, ringer and all this, like, anything that like we were cheaters. But oh, you were in UCLA. Oh, okay. 2014? Were you? Well, if you're no, you'd be 14 years old if you're 28 now. No, not 2014, Dennis. Unless you're not 28. That means you'd be older than 28, unless you're Doogie Howser. Anybody watch? There's another show in the 80s. Anybody watch Doogie Howser? Anybody know Doogie Howser? Patrick, what's his name? Guy who played Doogie Howser. What an interesting topic, Doogie Howser. So they take a kid that's 8 years old and make him be a doctor. That's a crazy show. And, and he had this Italian friend, sidekick, who was a pervert. you know, funny, weird show. What 8, 9 year old's gonna go through medical school? That's what Doogie Howser was all about. 10-year-old medical genius. 2018. That makes more sense. Yeah. Oh, you went to UCLA. That's great. Yeah, that's where. Isn't that where Zach and Kelly in the show Saved by the Bell college years? I believe they went to UCLA. Was it UCLA they all went to? I think so. How was that? Did you like college? Is that where you became a chef out there? Yeah, I got a late jump on college. 24. Graduated when I was 28. Then I went for my master's degree online, and I got that when I was, gosh, 35. And sad part is I didn't even need it, didn't even use it. Really didn't need it. I got all this student loan debt. I owe so much money on student loans. I'm hoping in March 2028, if they keep their word, oh, the game's over. Spurs won. He's 4 years older than you. Oh, okay. Yep, so, yeah, I didn't really need my master's degree online. I guess I just wanted to get it. But I did graduate 3.83, magna cum laude. I mean, it's, like I said, I graduated high school with a .98, so it's a big turnaround for me to get my act together. It wasn't easy, but when you find your calling, if you found your calling, a chef, then it's fun. It's not work. That's when you know you found your calling. When when something like that becomes your hobby, your passion, and you're getting paid to do it, that's when you know you found your calling. All right, Dennis, I'll let you go. I know what time is it? It's 8:40 over at your time. It's almost midnight here. My wife's still in there working. Did you enjoy that video today from the restaurant? Thank you, Dennis. I appreciate that. Hey, you're doing pretty good yourself too. You need to be proud of yourself. Look what you've done. You've gone to college, you're a chef, did great. Sounds like we both had similar lives, with our fathers and all. But yeah, good night, Dennis. Thank you guys for talking, and we'll do Daily Dose Jeff live tomorrow.